I want to credit the podcast. He's having a conversation about him at a dealership, at a car dealership. I'll give it credit, but take a listen to what happens. The salesman questions whether or not Shaquille O'Neal could afford these vehicles.
I don't want to spend $400,000 for a car. So I'm like, hey, man, how much is this? Nah, how much is this one? So finally the old guy says, yo, man, you asked about all these cars. Can you afford them? Now I'm pissed. I said, what the you just said to me? So I buy 3. That one, and I want them dropped off. Move the seat back today, I want them dropped. So I got 3 Rolls-Royces that I never drive.
He has 3 Rolls-Royces now that he never drives.
Man, Shaq showed him.
Because the old guy who got all this commission questioned whether or not he could afford them. And Shaq was probably thinking, yeah, with my icy hot money alone from this month.
Yeah.
And
just ask the general. He paid for he paid for that one
he
car.
Bought all 3 cars. And he was sort of debating on which one he wanted to buy. So because of that, he took it as a slight or a sneak diss. He said, you know what? Now I want them all. You could say that's a spite story, but like I said, Mike said, that's a dumb story. That's just a stupid story because that dude ended up getting paid as a result. But based on that, let's go over some of your favorite stories of spite. Any come to mind, let us know. By the way, it must be nice to have that kind of money, though, huh?
There's a few things that come to mind, and I'm curious what your thoughts are when it comes to spite in general, because there's a couple stories or people or things that come to mind. Sometimes spite's a great motivator. Sometimes spite is no good. It derails your mindset where you're at. I think
it's childish. I really do. It's not a quality I envy. It's not a quality that I have, really. It's like jealousy. I had jealousy when I was in high school. I don't have it anymore because I grew out of it. I think it's a weakness. And that's how I feel about spite. Like, really, big baby, move on. You know, of course.
What if it's really creative or funny like we do in broadcasting, though, Covino?
Well, that's different. If it's out of humor and is that really out of spite or is that more of a joke?
Is it playful spite? Like
playful.
Let's say Danny and I bet $100 on the Dodgers Mets and he lost and he paid me in pennies because he just was so adamantly.
I think, that's good. Like I one time lost a Lakers bet to Ben Maller. I paid him all and I gave him $100 in nickels.
You mean Moneyball Maller?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they call him.
He probably still has that box of nickels at his house.
That's fair. That's fun. That's like the lighter side of spite, I guess. But that's more humorous.
Shaq just saying, you don't think I could afford it? I'll show you.
You know why? That's probably, if you want to dissect that, he didn't want to be judged that way. He came from a modest background and upbringing, a military stepdad, didn't have a whole lot growing up. So someone comes at him and makes him think that, oh, you think I can't afford that? I'll show you. It's like your buddy Stanley T, who refused to eat off paper plates, kind of.
Yeah.
Because he ate off paper plates when he was a kid. So now he refuses.
Man,
it's in his contract.
I mean, spite is
car service.
Spite is a powerful thing. Look at Portnoy at Barstool. He has he engraved champagne bottles with people that did him dirty, and then when they get canceled or when they stink, he pops the bottle. That's spite. But
it's a weird motivator, but I think, on the positive side, Rich, anything that motivates you, I guess, is a good motivator.
There was a story today. Hannah Waddingham, who plays Rebecca on Ted Lasso, the tall blonde woman, who's great. Great voice also, by the way. She said in an interview she has a list in a little book of all the a-holes she met along the way so that when she ended up having somewhat power in her industry, she wanted to make sure she never has to work with those people again. And I was like, that's spiteful, but if it works for you.
And motivates you.
Is it bad?
I guess there's a silver lining to this weak characteristic of yours. But based on this story of spite or stupidity, are there other stories of spite that come to mind?
What's the most spiteful thing in sports, really, when you think about it? Hitting a batter that celebrates a home run too much. You were that mad that you're like, well, I'll show him. I'm going to hit him. So, spite, your thoughts?
Yo, put this in perspective, though, for real, right? If you're buying some gear for the summertime, buying 3 pairs of shorts hurts my feelings. Buying 3 pairs of sneakers hurts my heart. Imagine buying 3 Rolls-Royces just because some old guy bothered you.
Some old guy doubted your clout, and you're like, I'll show him.
We're assuming this old guy had no idea what a 7-foot center did for a living? Why was everybody staring at this guy? Are we assuming that this guy was the only guy that didn't realize that it's Shaquille O'Neal?
It's like it's an odd mental tactic when you tell someone they can't do something.
They want to do it.
They want to do it.
Yeah, again, it's a stubborn trait. Or in this story, we're spinning it as a spiteful trait. It's sort of spiteful here because he's like, oh, yeah, well, watch me. I bought all of them.
Yeah.
So based on that, stories
it's like telling
spite.
a woman, I bet you can't. Well, and then she does.
Oh.
There's a story I thought of when it comes to spite. And like I said, the league leader in spite. Baseball.
Well, you see guys get plunked from things that happened, a year ago.
It's spiteful. Some guy hits a home run, watches it too long, flips his bat. How spiteful and childish are baseball players where 2 innings later the guy gets plunked because it's
Eric plunked.
He gets Eric plunked.
Eric
Doink.
plunked.
Because
he was on the Canseco rookie card.
Because he what? Hit a home run and enjoyed it?
Eric plunked.
Spite's a powerful thing. And
I got a stupid story, Spite.
our buddy Spot, who's been in Jersey, he'll be back next week. Dealing with some family stuff. Hope Spot's well. Back in the day, we hosted a listener event in New York City, Danny G.
Yeah.
This is
back in the day, like thousands of people.
I'll be honest,
showed up.
from this point on, this is why I never trust Spot again. Because I saw what he's capable
It was
of.
awesome. People had Covino foam fingers, posters.
I mean, it was a really big event.
It was a big event.
Listen, there were a couple hundred people there, but I don't remember foam fingers.
I remember.
Now,
Revisionist history.
yeah, print the story.
In my memory, that's how I remember it.
Oh, is that when everyone
I
lifted
remember
you up and they're
walking
like,
into the
Covino, Covino.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a
great.
great event.
We were at a karaoke bar that we had rented out, the whole place. So we had a ton of people there, drinks, food. Between the listeners and us, and at the time SiriusXM, thousands of dollars had been spent to reserve this karaoke spot in Manhattan for our show. A couple hours into it, they're like, yeah, you're going to all have to leave. We have another party coming in. We're like, whoa.
We're like,
Part of our deal
we're
here
like
was
100 people here.
Yeah, like, we're here drinking, eating. What are you talking about? No one ever told us there was like a hard out, like you guys got to leave. But they were adamant about it. So here we are having an event. Yeah, we enjoyed our time there for a couple hours, but they're like, all right, you got to leave now. We're like, and go where? Long story short, as we're walking out, like the hostess or host stand where they got the computer and everything? Open on that computer was this company's monthly calendar of reservations. Looked like a big Outlook calendar. Our buddy Spot's like, I'll show them. I'm like, what are you talking about? He grabs the mouse and he goes in to clear the calendar. And it's like, are you sure? He's like, yes, permanently delete. And we're like, all right, bye. Like, what did you just do? He's like, deleted their whole calendar system.
And that totally depicts his personality. We call him Spite instead of Spot.
Yeah, sometimes like, yo, don't mess with Spite.
He's very spiteful. Spiteful guy.
Be careful.
Yeah.
I've heard you say to him, hey, your favorite beverage is Sprite.
Yeah. Lemon lime Spite.
Without the R.
Because, you don't want to do a guy dirty like that because they'll backstab you in a weird way. They're capable of it.
Is that an incriminating story to share on the air? Or is this all just like, they fixed it. It's all good.
No, there's a lot
They
of
have a paper
karaoke
copy
by
of it,
There's 8 million people in Manhattan. If Spot gets tracked down for this, he deserves it.
It was over 10 years ago,
Yeah.
too.
I don't know if you consider this spite, but I took it as spite because, like they say about pitchers plunking players from years ago because they showed them up because they did a bat flip or something. What do they say? Elephants and women never forget? I don't know.
I'm glad you said that, though. I looked up the definition, the official definition of the word spite.
Yeah.
A desire to hurt, annoy, or offend someone.
Dude,
There's
I
malice involved.
was heartbroken over a girl one time. A few times, I should say, but this one girl in particular. And she ended up leaving me, and coincidentally, this story ties into sports. She left me for a first-round draft pick for the New York Rangers.
Let's be honest. Good choice.
Right?
What?
Hey, you know what? It turns out it was because
Their draft pick or her choice?
they're still together. So
Did
her
they
choice.
have kids?
Yeah. So she left me for an NHL player, and that's why I don't like hockey till this day. But I remember it crushing me because
Wait.
I was still like living at home with my parents. I was on my come up, and here's this guy making millions, right? And I remember just feeling as bad as I possibly could. And then she sent me a letter. I'm like, oh, she wants to come back. She wants to come back to the man, me. And I open it up.
She
and
sent you a letter. What was it? The 1920s? Were you at war?
I got a letter.
It's a copy
email,
of his
right?
Rangers contract.
Yeah, this was early 2000s. So, it was probably an email. I just remember printing it out. I remember having it because I read it on the air.
It was a hard copy of
Dude,
his contract.
this had to be 2004, 2005, right? Because I read it on the air.
Let me tell you, I actually remember this. I forgot it until you just said it.
Yeah.
Covino brings in this letter. This is when we were like,
That's good radio.
we're in
Yeah.
our early 20s, and Covino goes, yo, she wrote me a letter. And I remember saying, like, do you mind reading it on the air?
But I remember thinking it might be something like I miss you, but it was the exact opposite, dude. It was like she used this opportunity to make me feel as bad as I could feel.
I remember
period.
one
Like,
quote. I remember one quote.
Go ahead.
One quote from this letter. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
She goes, I want to thank you
Yeah.
because you showed me what love wasn't.
Yeah. She goes, hadn't I showed her like everything love wasn't, she would have never found this guy. Because I couldn't find that with you, but I found it with fill in the blank,
Bro.
the Ranger guy.
She went from baseball to hockey.
Yeah.
Hadn't,
She's like,
hadn't I realized how awful you were,
yes.
I would never realize how good he is.
Dude, I read this, like, I can't believe what I'm reading.
Fine,
Like,
you feel that way. You don't need to share that with me.
yeah, like take
Right?
you already moved on and broke
That
my
is
heart.
so clueless.
You don't need to like add salt to the wound, right? Like she was just digging the knife in.
Get in her mind
And it was like,
space.
this guy's more rich than you. This guy's more handsome than you. He's packing more than you. He satisfies me more than you. And he shows me what love is, which you never did.
So thank you.
So thank you. And I was like, dang, that's hurtful and spiteful.
Did she also sign it with her boyfriend's jersey number as well?
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
That's funny as
I was
hell.
like, wow, but it really was so bad. But at the same time, I was able to laugh at myself. So I did read it on the air early on in our show's history, but very spiteful. And you would have thought I had done something to her, but really she was just pointing out the fact that this guy loved her the way I should have. And I was like, but I did. I guess I didn't show it as much. I don't know.
She
But
should have
man,
put his rookie card in the letter.
yeah, it was so spiteful. It was the most spiteful thing I'd ever read in my life. But yeah, women will do that to you too, man. And women know how to hit you where it hurts. They'll tell you that. They'll hit you in your wallet, your package, everything else, your ego, for sure. So stories of spite. I guess Shaq showed them by buying 3 Rolls-Royces.
Look at him. Way to go.
Man, he's getting paid from, like you said.
Yeah,
The general.
He's one of the most successful guys. Believe it or not, it's odd to think that
Dude, I read
Shaq
that.
buying 3 Rolls Royces probably put very little dent in his credit card. That's like you or I buying Chipotle.
I read he has the rights to Marilyn Monroe. Like, he owns her
Likeness?
likeness.
Really?
Forever 21, like Papa John's. And then he's got all those he's got so many business deals. Forget about endorsements. Endless. Guy's involved in everything.